Hello and welcome back to the New York Virtual Photo Salon. I'm Lavon Hall, your host for this event. Thanks to those who tuned in last time. I hope it was insightful for you. But if you haven't seen last week's episode and the rest of our awesome speakers, click on the links in the description. I'm quite thrilled to have Lanna Apisukh as tonight's guest photographer. A subject she'll present is one you don't hear too much about. Leave us comments, subscribe, and like this channel. Now hang out and enjoy the show. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Lavon, and for creating this wonderful space for us artists and image makers to share our stories and ideas. It's great to be here. Hi everyone, my name is Lanna Apisukh, and I'm a portrait and documentary photographer based in Brooklyn, New York. I got connected to the New York Photo Salon through my friend and past photo professor Curtis Willocks, who teaches at the Fashion Institute of Technology. He introduced me to Lavon, and I'm very grateful to be able to share my work with this community. And now I'm going to share a bit about my journey into photography and some of the projects I've been working on. Ever since I was very young, I've always loved being around cameras. My dad always had cameras around the house for family pictures, and my brother was a photographer for our high school newspaper. I got used to being in front of the camera at an early age since I ended up being their subject often, but eventually I fell in love with image making too. My journey into photography wasn't really a straight and narrow path though. While I loved taking pictures of my friends in my travels and learning my way around the darkroom in college, I ended up graduating from the University of Washington with a degree in English, thinking I'd become a writer and work in media or in production, which I did for some years until I realized how much I missed making photographs and the visual side of storytelling. So outside of my full-time job, I started taking classes at BKC, a learning-focused community that offered photography and multimedia workshops. Those classes really ignited the creativity that was hibernating in me for so long, and at that point, I decided that I would go back to college to get my formal technical training in photography. Initially, when I was back to school, I was interested in fashion and studio portraiture, which is one reason why I enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Technology. But now that I've completed the photo program, I'm finding that I'm more drawn to documenting the world around me, and especially people and their relationship to place and identity. One of my favorite photographers of all time is Mary Ellen Mark. Her documentary work with Seattle runaway youth is extraordinary and has been a huge inspiration for some of my ongoing documentary projects with youth. I'm continually inspired by the independent spirit of youth and their creative nature that comes with experimenting with different ideas at such a young age. Whether it's creative expression through clothes, music, art, or activism, I find a lot of hope and great potential in what they do, and it's why I love documenting youth. After all, they are the future. Speaking of young people, one of the projects I'm currently working on follows women and gender non-conforming skateboarders in New York City. Captured primarily on medium format and 35mm film over the last 2 years, this project shares stories of courage and athleticism through portraits of the young individuals that make up this small but growing community. As a female, former elite gymnast, and a skateboarder myself, I've always been fascinated by athletes, and gender was always something I wanted to explore more of. Growing up in the 90s, I often found myself being the only girl at the skate park. It was intimidating to be a young woman and a minority in a male-dominated space, especially as an awkward beginner. Fortunately, the space is evolving and attitudes are changing. Women's skateboarding has been added to the Olympic Games for the first time in history, and there are a growing number of organizations like Skate Like a Girl that host clinics and events to create an inclusive and safe space for women and queer skateboarders to learn new skills, get support, and build confidence. It's an exciting time in skateboarding, and my aim is to show the diversity and the brave individuals that make up this positive new space. Another project I've been working on is about my parents. Since the coronavirus outbreak began, I've been thinking a lot about my family, especially my parents who are older and were living in Southeast Asia up until June of this year. As a way of navigating the strange days, I have kept myself busy by looking back on past trips we've taken together and my visits to their home in Central Florida. This set of images I'm sharing have brought me joy during a bleak time and inspired me to create Permanent Vacation, a beachy portrait of my parents' lives as Asian American retirees and senior citizens living in the Sunshine State. Though my mom and dad have been Florida residents for over 40 years now, I'm continually fascinated by the way that they have adapted to the American landscape and culture in their own unique way. From the way they dress to the popular colloquialisms they've adopted from cable television and the internet, it's clear that their sunny suburban environment has shaped their cultural identity. When I was young, I always knew that our family was different. Not because we were Asian minorities living in a predominantly white suburb, but because my parents so proudly and passionately made their living in a place that contrasted greatly from their native homeland of Thailand. Their resilience and tireless work ethic as cooks and owners of a Thai restaurant that ran successfully for over 20 years in Longwood, Florida, eventually earned them recognition and a well-deserved retirement, which I've been documenting for the past couple years. Captured on a variety of color film formats during their usual weekend trips to the nearby seashores, Permanent Vacation offers a glimpse into my parents' peaceful, yet vibrant and highly active lives as senior citizens. With this work, I hope to broaden the ideas of aging and our sense of place and belonging in the world. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this presentation and feel inspired to create images of the people and places that fascinate you. And if there's one thing that I've learned through my journey as a photographer, is that it's never too late to learn something new, and to always follow your heart and let your curiosity guide you, because you never know, it could lead to something really great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lana. I really enjoyed your work and your courage to document a culture that's quite relevant nowadays, and great to see your parents enjoying life as well. I hope you continue documenting these subjects. Everyone else, I hope you've enjoyed the presentation and learned something new. So please give it a thumbs up, leave comments, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you all for tuning in, and the New York Virtual Photo Salon Committee. I'm Lavon Hall, and we'll see you next time with some more exciting speakers.